Hello there. Welcome to my home away from home. And what is your name? Oh, lovely. Now, I don't think I've seen you here before at the convention, have I? No. I'm relatively good with faces, not as good as with voices, but I think I'd remember you. Now, I'll just have you follow me back here and to my spacious little cave, and we'll have a look at some of the voices that I've brought out, especially to show you. Now, tell me, have you ever seen or rather heard a vocal collection before? Oh, no, dear, I'm not the only one who has one. In fact, we have a league with around about 50 members. We gather every month to talk about our latest acquisitions and such. But I will admit that I have one of the most impressive collections. All right, well, you see, what I do is poor unfortunate souls who are in need of a bit of magical help come to me. Maybe they have a broken heart, or they want to be transformed into someone else. Whatever the case may be, they need my assistance, and, well, I charge them a small, nominal fee, which is usually their voice. I do have a fondness for voices. In fact, I think fondness is an understatement. I absolutely adore them. And usually I'll keep them indefinitely. Sometimes I have a contract with the individual who needs my help where they'll get it back and in a set amount of time, such as a year or two. But typically I like to keep them for as long as possible, just so that I can enjoy them whenever I like. Now, as I said, these are some of my favorites, and I keep them in these boxes here just to make sure they stay safe and sound. Little wooden boxes, not very large at all, because I like to store as many as I can. And what I'll do is I'll tell you a little bit about the voice, and then I'll open the box so that you can enjoy it for just a second or two, maybe a little longer, if you're lucky. And then we'll move on to the next. We have quite a bit of ground to cover, figuratively speaking, because I do have a number that I would like to share with you today. So, let's get to it then, shall we? Now, the first one here, I actually collected from Wonderland. It was a delightful man who ran a cafe there. I'm trying to recall exactly what his issue was. Oh, that's what it was. His wife was... Well, she had a tendency to wander, and so he wanted to ensure that she stayed put, if you catch my drift. So he actually didn't give me his voice, per se. He decided that hers was the ideal one. And I must admit, I do gravitate more toward feminine voices because they have a certain ring to them. So this is her voice, and you'll need to be very quiet. She was a very, a meek sort of person. So listen closely. To catch the hat, but catch wish with us. I don't think so. We'll need to have tea and lots of tea. I do like honey. Isn't that lovely, dear? I do think she had quite an even-keeled whisper. She was a bit off in her head, though, a little bit, off her rocker, quite frankly. She would ramble on and on for hours, he said. Even now, when I open the box, the voice just simply continues on and on until I shut it again, and even someone such as myself who adores voices finds it a bit too much to take at times. This next one is an Elven voice that I'm particularly fond of. I like the way they sound rather wispy, as if their vocal cords are floating in midair. I know that sounds strange, but that is what it reminds me of. Anyway, this particular elf I came upon in Rivendell. She had a lifelong dream of being a shapeshifter, so I granted her wish. Came with a price, of course, being her voice, because I hadn't an elven voice in my collection yet, not of this caliber anyway, so I was more than happy to oblige her. Now listen closely to this one. It is rather relaxing, in my opinion. I do so love Elvish. Has such a nice ring to it, doesn't it? The next one I'm going to show you is, well, rather mysterious. I procured it on the outskirts of a place called Neverland, and the man who gave it to me as a trade told me that it once belonged to a woman who walked the halls of a very dark, dank mansion there that had been abandoned for a number of decades. I did a bit of research and I found that, well, it's the closest thing I can possibly get to ghostly vocals. It's a sad story behind it. The woman was heartbroken over a love who went off to war. You hear the story time and again, but it does bring a tear to the eye, doesn't it? The voice, on the other hand, is quite melodious and calming, I find. quite tragic, isn't it? It is one of the sadder voices that I own, but every now and again, when the mood strikes me, I have a listen to it. Now there's one last voice I would like to show you, or rather, present for your auditory pleasure. This one is quite unique indeed. It's actually an inner voice. Now you see, each of us has two sets of voices. The voice that we present to the world, and then the voice within our minds. Some people call it a conscience. The inner voice is harder to obtain for the simple fact that gathering it can be quite dangerous. But I managed to procure this one, quite easily in fact. Now, you'll have to listen very closely to this one because it is quite small. I haven't yet been able to decipher that one, but I do have an expert on consciousness coming in, and he should be able to help me with the process next month. But it was so nice meeting with you today, and if you ever do come back to the convention, which I hope you do, I hope you'll stop in again and I can show you some of my new vocal varieties. Please, on your way out, stop for some refreshments, and I have clams and shrimp, things like that, to satisfy your appetite. And feel free to peruse the collection that I have on display. I have a little bit of a booth out there on the main convention grounds, and you're more than happy to sample those if you like.